Hello. You are listening to the Carroll Connection with your host, Jared Carroll.
Perfect. Hey everybody, welcome to the Carroll Connection. I am your host, Jared Carroll, here to bring you guys another great episode. And as you could tell, I'm in a different studio today. The ever-changing vibe studio with one of my favorite people, wALiE. Brand new episode. I don't know exactly when I'm going to drop this, obviously, so I can't shout out the exact number because I haven't figured that out yet. So obviously when you guys hear this. But last time you were on with Gio. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but that was, maybe a month or two ago?
Yeah, it was like May.
Yeah,
it was like towards the end of May, early June.
So we obviously just recorded an episode for Ever-Changing Vibe, so that'll be great, and you guys should definitely go check that out.
Episode 117, if you're interested.
Yeah, it'll probably release around a similar date, right?
Yeah, July. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It'll be out by the time this comes out.
All right, perfect. But anyways, if you guys want to hear any other Carroll Connection episodes, you can go to carrollconnection.simplecast.com, Apple Podcast, Spotify, all the major listening platforms. And if you like to watch your podcast, go on YouTube, search the Carroll Connection or Jared M. Carroll. It should pop up right for you. And if you want to be a guest or return as a guest, you can go on Instagram at the Jared M. Carroll or at the Carroll Connection and DM me and I'll set it up. Just give me time. Summer's been busy. Already looking to the fall. I have plans in the fall to go to Germany in September. So I'm trying to schedule stuff for September and October now. So just be patient with me. But bringing us to today's episode, we're going to do a little quick episode for you guys. I just want to get some content out there, especially while I'm in the studio. It's always good to take advantage of the time that we spend together. And we had a really great, insightful conversation on the ever-changing vibe. And I want to take a little bit of a turn into this episode talking about formulating opinions, basically. And we've talked about this before on different, like after podcasts and like late night sessions, and like I've heard you on.
I'm very opinionated about people forming opinions. That's the weirdest thing that I have, but yeah.
And basically, what I wanted to ask you, because you basically were criticizing, I had an opinion about certain podcasts that I was taking, kind of running with my own, basically, and I agreed with their take at the time, and I was like, agreeing with that, and then your pushback was, it's not your own thought, basically, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was you're not formulating your own thought. So that made me wonder, is kind of like, how do you formulate your own thoughts without considering outside opinions to influence your own thought?
So I do think, not misquoted, you're not really taking away the message I was trying to articulate. I want to put the accountability on myself for not truly explaining it. I think, because this conversation came up on my podcast, I had one of our mutual guests on, Vasily, and he asked me a very similar question, like, how do you be original? Like, how do you have your own original opinion? It's something that I'm still, like, ever since that conversation, still trying to figure out myself, like, how do I really formulate my own opinion? What I was really trying to get at, especially with the example that you just mentioned, and why I get exactly why that was your interpretation of what I was saying. I find that a lot of people in today's day and age, you can have an opinion that's similar, or that you were convinced from something that you've heard. But I find a lot of people, when they are having that conversation with you, are utilizing the same quotes or phrases that wherever they heard that opinion is coming from. So I know, not only from, my college days when I thought I was a big conservative, was into the Louder with Crowder, Ben Shapiro, and listening to all these things, and because I was very much so like this. This new, philosophical idea that I've kind of tried to like formulate and articulate is very new, even to me. But the people that, or like even what I was doing at the time was like, if I was entering a debate about abortion every single counterpoint, every single take that I had was just a take that I heard, Crowder or Shapiro or whoever, Jordan Peterson, or someone already said. At no point during the conversation or debate did I ever say something that I thought originally. And the biggest thing, and I think the reason why I have been able to really pinpoint the importance, and I find it to be important to me, and it doesn't apply to everybody, but the importance of it is something that only, like, the way you can be original is something that only you truly know. Most ideas, most thoughts, they've already been had. Most takes, most directions, even when you're watching a comedian give you this wild interpretation of an event and he just throws you down all these twists and turns, and then you're just like, wait, oh, I agree with that opinion. Like, these are all thoughts that people have had before. That's why they end up being successful. They're relatable. So people have already thought these things. The way I am able to be original and emphasize originality in my opinions is because only I know if I've heard it before. So if I give you a counterpoint, I know where that counterpoint, most of the time I know where the counterpoint came from, or I at least know it was not like a live reaction, like, oh, this is my take on it. So usually what I am doing, like, I give credit to, like, in my head, I don't disclose this necessarily during the conversation, but like in my head I go, wait, no, that was a Ben Shapiro comment. Oh, that was from Fresh and Fit. Oh, Alba and Preach had this take. As I started to learn that, the way I've been getting better at knowing that I am original, knowing that I can formulate my own opinions on certain things, is by removing those, hearing other people's opinions, not from my life, but until I've had my own take on it. So when there's a big, random recent trend was the Titanic submarine, or Logan Paul is still scamming, or, like one of those random things. I start to see like 4 or 5 of the YouTubers that I tend to follow and I really like their takes on. I immediately, when I see that, like, it's starting to pop up, it's starting to be a trend, before I like listen to someone else's take, I think about it and I go, what is my opinion on this? All right, this is my initial opinion. This is my initial take before I've been influenced or like, someone's grafted out like the whole range of what it could be or where it could go, and how, different opinions or different facts or stats. I'm like, even if I don't have all the facts, all the stats, like, just based off of the title, based off of the news story, what do I think? All right, this is what I think. Now I can open up to start listening to some other opinions. And then sometimes as the person sharing their opinion, it's like, yeah, that's very similar to, the way I thought about it. Sometimes it's like, wait, that's the opposite. Like I was like pro that, but then as they explained and detailed and really displayed the scam that Logan Paul is still doing, I'm like, oh, I actually, agree with him and disagree with Logan Paul. I'm not defending Logan Paul anymore. But I know deep down, I had my original opinion, original take. I started to get really exhausted when having conversations, especially after college, when I started to kind of have that revelation where it's like, I'm not really conservative and I'm not really like a big Ben Shapiro or Louder with Crowder fan. I'm just like a contrarian, and I'm at a liberal college, so a lot of my, counterpoints and stuff, like I needed to know the information to have those debates. Well, now I'm starting to like talk to my friends who majority lean more conservative or more right wing, and I started to like pick up on them as I stopped listening to Louder with Crowder and and Ben Shapiro, and when they're talking to me, I'm like, that almost has the same exact cadence as Ben Shapiro. That has the same like, emotion behind it as Louder with Crowder. So like most conversations in politics, I was like, you're reciting, even if you agree with the opinion, you're not You're not sharing your opinion. You're just agreeing. You're just telling me what, someone else who agrees with how you feel about it. It's great to agree. It's great to find someone who can articulate your thoughts, but that's not an original opinion. I just put and it's not supposed to be everybody. I don't want everybody to only focus on and prioritize originality and genuine and authentic. Like, genuine and authentic are the most important and good attributes to have. But being original is not something that everyone should prioritize. And it doesn't make you less creative or more creative. Like, having the originality. It's I listened to Dice Clay on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about all the pushback from the producers and the people who are like gonna finance one of the specials that is like known as one of the greatest specials of all time. It's got a very like specific thing, and it's not because it's hilarious all throughout. It's because he's the only comic, almost to this day, that released a special, like a stand-up. It technically back in the day was like audio only. They used to call them albums. He released an album, and I forget the title of it, where it was a set that he bombed. There wasn't a lot of crowd laughter. There was booing. There was people. Everyone didn't like the set. Everybody now, like and up until him, were releasing specials that like they would record their set 4 times, pick the one that did the best, and then work with that one. And like, all right, this one had the most laughter. This one did the best. This one, it was awesome. So like every special you hear, it's like, yeah, it's the best version of that special. But like, he released it and he did it because he's like, I want it to be the first. No one else is doing that. And now you look back and it's like his special or his album, that album specifically, like stands out amongst all these other things, amongst all these other people. Like Dice Clay is unique because, and he talks a lot on that Rogan episode, like about not really knowing where it came from or why he is the way he is, but how he just like, originality is so important to him. He wants to be the first to do the thing. I don't know if I want to be the first to do every single thing, but I don't want to do something because I've been influenced to do it,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I think the clarification, too, on the recitement of something is important. I think maybe my pushback would be more or less the fact that if X person states a fact and Y person also agrees with the fact, that they should also be allowed to adopt said fact. Say, like, if someone states the sky's blue, the first person who states the sky's blue, if I come along and also say the sky's blue, like, it doesn't matter if it's an original thought. It should be, if I have actual facts to back up that the sky is blue, it doesn't matter who says it, like, who said it first. I think originality, like, is important because it drives creativity, too, and, like, it creates that. But I think as we're entering further and further into these generations and things have already, like we said earlier, thoughts have already been thought before. Like, there's so many, it's hard to have original thoughts. So I think maybe the key in forming your own opinion, which a lot of people don't do, and sometimes I don't even do to my own best ability, is hearing all sides, actually forcing yourself to go to the opposite side to hear their point of view. And there's also probably, especially with the content we're talking about dating back then and my struggles, and the content also favored my dating and struggles, which formulated, I guess, a certain bias to how I viewed like things. You sprinkle a little bit of facts in there about certain stuff with a bias, I'm going to strongly agree with that and regurgitate that constantly and stick. And I'm very like, kind of, if I believe in something, and I will dig my feet in, especially if I get pushback from someone. It's like, it's like the fear of being wrong. Like people don't want to be wrong anyways. Right. And I think that's a normal human insecurity because you don't want to come off as foolish or stupid or something like that. But I still think that, like, regardless of who says something, I should be allowed to recite that if it's with studies and there's like other like things to back up said opinion.
So, kind of where I'm coming from too, and we shared a little bit of this on the episode that you were just on. I have many conversations, and I've done so much content. I know people can listen to me and go, wow, that guy's very opinionated. Like, he has his opinion and he thinks he's original or whatever. Every single time I'm sitting down talking to a person about whatever opinion, I'll dig my feet as deep as I need to go for the entire conversation. It's not the conversation that's going to change my mind, but almost every single time, my mind changes. Not entirely, it doesn't flip 180, it doesn't reverse to the other side, but I adapt the understanding of the person. I need to, during the conversation, really try to pick apart and break down to understand why you're coming from that place, and try to understand how your opinion got created. And that's what will truly allow me to like learn more about these things and adapt my understanding of this, debate topic, whatever, is by like really trying to battle back and forth. And like, so then when I'm thinking about it later, I'm like, all right, well, when I gave this point, this was their counterpoint. How do I relate to that counterpoint? How can I adapt that narrative into my understanding of this? And trying to add to my mind, my opinion, is what I do. So my contention with reciting is not about reciting a point, but, and I'm sure you will have examples in your mind when I say this, of people that you relate to. There were some people that I'm having a conversation, and if you're reciting one point, like one Louder with Crowder point, one Ben Shapiro point, or one Fresh and Fit point, or one point from the political side, and I catch on, I'm like, okay. I mean, that is a good factual point, and, you might not know the date of the graph, but you know that they reference the data and graph, and maybe you've even looked at it yourself. You just don't know what it is, but you can direct me to that and show me all the facts and help defend your point off of that. But I started to get exhausted because in a conversation, in a political, back and forth, one point was met by counterpoint Ben Shapiro. My second point was met by their second point, Louder with Crowder. My third point, so in the same topic, in the same realm, I saw a lack of originality in the opinion, because it was every counterpoint that they had, every point that they had was a quote, a phrase, a cadence of, one of the people that they listen to. It's okay, even if all of your counterpoints are that, there is a way to like, still adapt like your version of what you heard and why you think that way. And there's also like, I give a lot of leeway to the people that's like, I don't know, I heard Ben Shapiro explaining it like this, and he was, talking about some data, that was pulled on, that movement, and found that it was this, and that convinced me. So like, if you tell me like, I believe in this opinion because this is like this data, or this person, displayed it in a way that was like articulating how I felt, I can roll with that. I can, like, that's original to me. Like, that's your true like opinion, is like, I agree with it. They just articulated it. But I'll be in conversations and they're debating. We're going back and forth. And every single point, they're not saying like, I was convinced by, like, I think of it because, this graph or whatever is the, like, they're not saying like, it's this that convinces me. They're just saying, no, this study is out and this study proves it. Like, they're just telling me that it proves it. It's like, well, it doesn't prove it. It proved it to you. You got yourself convinced, and that's fine. You can be convinced and you can agree with all these things. But when what I realize is like, I'm not able to have any takeaways. I can't go on my walk the next day or start my journal the next day and go, well, how did those points affect my opinion? How did that adapt? It's like, no, like, all the counterpoints, or the points that you had about that topic were not from you as the individual, as the person. Like, I just want to know why an individual. I want to know the anecdotal evidence. I want to know the person that actually thinks that way. Not the person that likes the same tweet as all the other people. Not the person that views every single Louder with Crowder, podcast. I want to know what the person who views every single one, agrees with all their opinions, what makes that person agree with that? Like, what's your life story? Is it like a lot of the fresh and fit stuff? It's like, it's a lot of like sad boys who just need a little ego boost. And that fresh and fit, like even when I was listening, like, you know, three years ago or whatever it was, like, I was in a place where I was kind of like hopeless. I was like, all these girls or whatever, like, I'm just sucky. No one's gonna want me, whatever. Like, I needed a little bit of ego boost. Like, you know, you as a male, a young male, you have value too. And you might not have as much value today, but you will in the future. And that little ego boost gave me enough, like, you know, confidence to like pursue the dating apps and you know, eventually, you know, find my love, you know? So, I mean, I'm trying to make sure I like,
I think to
wrapping
go,
all my points.
Yeah, to go off that too, before I want to jump into originality too a little bit and talk a little bit about that. But like, I think maybe it is a little bit of a conditioning bias, like where the fact if you just watch a specific political side or specific content or specific podcast, like constant every single day getting drilled into your head, you're going to just adopt those theories. And I guess like whether they're true or not, if you're not actually hearing another perspective and just being, nope, this, or this, and then shutting the conversation down, that's a problem. I would concede that point is like, that's not a healthy way to have a debate or have a conversation with someone. And I think that is part of just a little bit of my own growth is not shutting down, like whether you had a perspective on something, whether it's political or just pop culture or whatever, actually hearing out why you believe that, whether you're just going through the process of like, practicing your own thoughts on it too, because sometimes like you might have heard a fresh thought or a fresh opinion that you like, and then you're actually like trying to defend it, and like you might hear someone else like go at it in a different way. You're like, all right, maybe I actually don't agree with that opinion. I think the thing is that we're kind of getting at here too is life's not black or white, it's gray. Life is a bunch of fucking gray, and there's a bunch of things that are thrown into the mix. Humans are dynamic. You can't just say just because X, Y exists, or because Y exists, Z exists. Like, you could put generalities out there, and I think those are important for making certain assumptions about the world and, like, moving accordingly, I guess. But I think even in my day-to-day conversations, I think the whole point is to get to the person. Like, hear the story, and that's what kind of you're saying. I think we both agree on that, is getting to understanding who that person is and why they believe what they believe.
I just don't care about so many different things. I don't care about politics. I don't care about Ben Shapiro or Andrew Tate or like, I don't care about any of these. I don't care about Bud Light and the LGBTQ community. Like, I just don't give a fuck. But I do truly value and care about an individual. I love a person. I love getting to know what makes you tick. Well, like, why is that so important to you? Like, why is, you know, Bud Light putting whatever on their label so important to you? Like, whether you're for it or against it. Why? And I want to know. And the conversations that are only met with, like, the talking points of...
Very surface level talking points, too, typically.
It's just boring. Like I can't get anything out of it. I can't understand. Like, you're not teaching me anything about someone else, like you or anyone else who might like, you know, fresh and fit, let's say. Like, you're not teaching me. You're just using the points that they use. And I think this, you know, kind of speaks to I feel like a part of why you gave me, you know, a little like pushback or critique in my argument was it was almost personal to you when I made the comment about like reciting those things like fresh and fit or Ben Shapiro or loud or like whatever ones you're listening to, because we did that. You had a lot of moments where you were kind of using the talking points of those of like certain creators or certain, you know, podcasts, etc. But the reason why I still valued those conversations is while you would recite the points, those talking points, you would recite the point with an anecdote of your personal experience. Like, you know, women just want you for your money. I had, you know, this girl, like, that I took out a bunch of times. I treated so well. I did all these things. And, you know, eventually another guy came in and just gave her more money. That's not the actual story.
Yeah, you're making an example.
I'm putting an example. Like, but you provide, like, you essentially what you were sharing is like, this is why
I believe this.
This is why I'm saying this. This is why that the point that I'm reciting is meaningful to me. So like I can get to know who you are. I get to know what made you even like, attracted to that content. What made you like, value those things that they were, trying to educate on with you. And now it makes it way more meaningful, like looking back on it all, seeing how, and we talked about it on my podcast, like, how awesome you're doing and how like you're a portrayal of hope when it comes to like, relationships and bonds and units and like, really, gravitating and working with a partner that allows the two of you to grow, but also the individuals to grow in their own realm. Like you're becoming a better man because I got to see when you were essentially at your lowest, how these like little like things were helping you get through it. And it was small little things and it might have been a little like toxic villain arc that you had to go through, but like that villain arc allowed you to be the person that's ready for what you are experiencing now. And what you're experiencing now is just so much more valuable to the world. So like, I'm okay with reciting points. I try to like preface this and lead this off with you. Not everybody needs to be 100% original every single time. They don't have to do what I do and like look at a headline, make their own interpretation, and then watch. Like you can watch. That's how you can learn about your ideas and you can formulate your opinions based off of those ideas. But at the end of the day, like I value originality, and I hope I've articulated why.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of the point of this podcast, was to hear like the alternative to, if not reciting, then what? Like what was like your what behind that, and like getting to the point of originality. And like at the end of there is no real answer to originality. It's kind of it's a gray area. Like
nor is there like a method or a way on being original. I've kind of laid the blocks of what I think I do to be original, or how I try to be original, but there's so much more that goes into it that I don't even know that I'm doing like subconsciously day by day.
Yeah.
The way I'm so hard on myself when I catch myself like 2 months later, like, wait, that whole thought was not original. Like when I realized like, oh, I was just doing a Louis C.K. bit. That's not my actual opinion. Like I'm super hard on myself. Not everybody is that hard on themselves. Not everybody breaks every single thought and decision and action that they do down in the same way I do. So like originality is important to me. I think is what I want to make sure is communicated on this conversation.
Yeah, and I think that was important to hit on, and I think it's fun to kind of just like go back and forth and push back on each other a little bit. And I think those are healthy podcasts, that where you actually get to see two sides that, like, not necessarily we don't agree on the same thing. I think we agree on like kind of where we are and like how we both view it, and to hear the full thought, because we've mentioned it on different podcasts and stuff like that, to do a little quick episode for the audience and kind of just like do that. So I do appreciate you letting me use the studio and record something quick here. Do you want to plug anything before we go?
Check out wALiE _ECV on Instagram, Ever Changing Vibe, also on Instagram as the podcast. Gio's told me I don't put enough tags, and showed me that if you just search up Ever Changing Vibe, you're not going to necessarily find it on YouTube, but I'm sure you're going to tag me on whatever Instagram post. So if you check out those, all my links are in my bios and descriptions. So yeah, check it out if you want to hear more of my original opinions.
Appreciate you, my guy.
Fun. Thank you.
So if you guys want to listen to more Carroll Connection, like I said in the beginning, go to carrollconnection.simplecast.com. Also available Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the major listening platforms. If you want to watch it, go on YouTube, search the Carroll Connection, or at Jared M. Carroll. Should pop up right for you. And then if you want to be a guest or return as guest, follow me on Instagram at Jared M. Carroll or at the Carroll Connection, and we will set that up. So until next time, peace, guys.